Let's move on to this next story, which is Ukraine locking down Zelensky in the United States. So President Zelensky of Ukraine going to Washington, D.C. for the first time. The war now 300 days old in Ukraine since the start of the invasion by Russian forces. But of course, it had been going on for 8 years before that with the genocide that's been carried out in the Donbass by the Ukrainian soldiers with the help of NATO forces. That's been happening for 8 years, lest we forget that. On this show, we actually pay attention to true history. So we'll have more on Zelensky's trip in a moment. But first, Ukraine is on the verge of collapse. Zelensky knows it. And the Ukrainians know it, but you're not allowed to talk about it. If you do, you get in trouble. You're not allowed to talk about it. The Ukrainian government is now enforcing stay-at-home orders. Do not leave your house. Lockdown, sound familiar? You're not allowed to leave. I know you don't have electricity, you don't have wheat, you don't have water, you don't have heat. You are not allowed to leave your home. If you do, and if you're even talking about it, you will be punished by the Ukrainian government. No electricity, no energy by other means. Wow, what are you going to do about it? Ukrainians are being told to stay home, don't leave the country. It would lead to a mass migration crisis. Oh, now they're enforcing this? Now Europe wants to push Ukraine to maybe make this happen? Poland is about to collapse with 4 million immigrants from Ukraine inside of Poland. 4 million. A government that cannot handle it is absolutely collapsing right in front of our faces. We learned today from Ukrainian sources that Zelensky's regime is trying to pretend that nothing serious has actually happened, that they have already prohibited citizens from talking about blackouts. If you're a Ukrainian citizen, and I've heard from you, so you can, any of you want to reach out to me, I'd love to hear from you, but I know you're not allowed to talk. You don't have electricity. You probably don't have cell service either. You're not allowed to talk about these blackouts publicly. Shh. Don't let the world know about it. You're not allowed to talk about it. They pretend that those without electricity are part of what they're calling the unfortunate 1%. It's just 1% of you. Just 1%. There's like 1% of you that are without power. Really. It's not true at all. Zelensky keeps telling us that he's winning. We keep hearing this. We hear this in interviews, right? We heard this in the Economist interview. We're winning. We're on the right side. We're pushing them back. Russia's on the, Russia's crumbling. They don't have food. They're crumbling before our eyes. We're winning. This will be a winter of our winning. His general Zelensky telling us that they're winning, but they're lying. And now the Ukrainian general, Zelensky, is threatening its soldiers with fines or worse if these defections continue. Defections, soldiers running away.
No, that's Russia.
Oh, that's right. Okay,
that's
I'm
Russia.
sorry.
You're wrong.
Oh, right. I'm sorry. I should have read my propaganda notes from CNN that I didn't get from. No, actually, I'm just checking my notes again. No, it says here it's Ukraine, according to the actual video that we have of the general Zelensky threatening soldiers with fines or worse if these defections continue. Yes, Ukrainian military throwing down their weapons and are running away. Now we saw this a number of times throughout the summer. Now it's worse because now they're freezing. And their general in charge, Zelensky, just yesterday issued an order calling for fines or worse for soldiers running away. Watch.
Армія тримається на дисципліні. І якщо прогалини в законодавстві не забезпечує її дотримання, а відмовники можуть сплатити штраф, розмір якого становить до десятків відсотків бойових виплат, або отримати покарання з випробуванням, це несправедливо. Більше того, і це ключове, оголені ділянку фронту змушені закривати собою інші військовослужбовці, що призводить до збільшення втрат особового складу, територій та мирних жителів на них.
So, if you run away, we've got to, find out now you're going to be fined for it because we don't have the people that now you've given over this land. So that, we're going to fine you for that. And so Ukrainian soldiers are releasing videos now. We saw this over the summer and in the spring. You saw Ukrainian companies releasing videos saying, we don't have weapons, we don't have food. And then there was like a kibosh put on those videos being released. There was like something, I don't know, came from NATO or something. And then suddenly we stopped seeing those videos being released by the Ukrainian military saying, hey, Zelensky, we don't know what you're doing. We don't have food. We don't have weapons. We don't know what to do. We don't have any support out here. And then it was kind of quiet. We haven't seen any of that for quite a while until now it's freezing. And here's one. Here's an example of soldiers releasing videos showing that they are freezing, and they're telling their own leaders that they will hunt them down. Not Putin. We're going to come after you, Zelensky and Zelensky. So to be clear, Ukrainian soldiers telling their general, we're coming after you. Watch.
Хочу передати вітання пану Залужному та нашій зірці Зеленському. Що там, тепло у вас? Може, к нам приїдете сфоткатись? Може, хоч тоді щось пожити привезете? На відео ви кажете, що все у вас добре. Що у бійців немає потреби ні в чому. Хлопці, то може у нас і так тільки херово? А? Які, бойові завдання? Нас норки вбивають, а застуда та гайморит. Де підкріплення? Командування тупо ігнорує нас. Та ще гандони залякують, що посадять. Та саджайте вже. Тільки кажуть, що хлопці до тюряги не доїжджають. Запам'ятайте, ми обов'язково повернемося, ми виживемо. Тільки не заради перемоги, а для того, щоб повісити вас, підарів, в Києві на Майдані. І молитися, щоб росіяни до вас добрались першими. Так хоч може в тюрмі живими залишитися.
These are people.
These are human beings whose leadership, of course, is putting them out as cannon fodder, right?
Who still
Well,
wants
also,
this to go on?
They're most likely kids, too.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That kid sounded, he sounded 19, maybe 20. You know what I mean? He's a young voice. That is the kid.
Yeah, someone came at me on Twitter for saying something like this. So there was a viral video where a Ukrainian soldier was doing like a TikTok dance. And I was like, that looks like a girl. I'm pretty sure it was a girl who cannot be more than 15 or 16. And this war needs to end now. We can't all collectively agree that a young girl should be out there in war, or a young boy, or anybody who's,
Especially with those dancing skills, because she was amazing.
Yeah. And somebody said, you're a Putin apologist. And I said, because I want the young girl to live and not be, yes, because what you just said was give Putin anything he wants. And I'm like, but what you said is give him her life.
Right.
And I can't understand how saying, I do not want to see these people suffering anymore, and I want this to end now. I want the chips to fall however they fall so that the war ends, means that I'm pro-Russian or pro-anything other than just that young girl's life.
I mean, how does somebody come at you like, how dare you? How dare you
speak for her? That's literally what the exchange was, is you just said you want Putin to get what he wants. Because I said, her life is worth more than this. Peace talks now. Oh, you want Putin to get what he wants then? I'm like, then you want her to die?
Next, you're going to be calling for UK nurses to get paid what they're worth. How dare you?
I know, I'm crazy like that.
Unfortunately, it's just that, like, people, when you hear them say that, I know that they've been propagandized. And it's like, it's really hard, because I still go back to the thing where it's like, they're listening to the media, they're reading things on social, they have no frame of reference. They're not like us. They don't go down these rabbit holes. They're just getting fed information by who they think they can trust. They think they can trust the media, but they cannot. So I try to not, get upset with those people as much as I can, but it's like, it is frustrating, because how propaganda is winning this war on social. It's
been the ultimate propaganda war, and that's why so many people are brainwashed about this.
And now we can't even be sure that it wasn't the U.S. government doing it, if you refer to our show yesterday. Yeah. So how do I know it was even a real person?
Yeah. Like you were saying, like they've been talking about how they were taking U.S. stuff down, but there was not a single instance where we saw anything about taking down Russian information that they were saying was the problem. Yeah. Not one request.
No, and of course, all of this, let's be honest, all of this was created by NATO, right? All of this was created by the United States and NATO. And this is a fact. They have to reap what they sow now, right? They created this mess. 4 million Ukrainians now having to leave Ukraine and going into Poland, and Poland is collapsing. And you're seeing this across Europe now. You're seeing Europe collapse. Right. And the United States is sort of sitting back, and they will reap what they sow soon enough. They're in the throes of collapse as well. But of course, Europe will come first. the collapse of Europe will happen first. And again, this is all their fault. Perhaps that's why Zelensky just flew in to meet with President Biden this afternoon in Washington, D.C. and speak in front of Congress. Now, we got confirmation of this overnight. It was kind of a last-minute thing. Zelensky tweeted this out. On my way to the U.S. to strengthen resilience and defense capabilities of Ukraine. In particular, President of the United States and I will discuss cooperation between Ukraine and America. We'll also have a speech at the Congress and a number of bilateral meetings. So then Zelensky arrives. He was greeted. I love this. He was greeted on the tarmac. Here. You think, oh, he's going to meet with President Biden on the tarmac? No. Who does he meet with? That's Rufus Gifford. That's who they sent to meet him. They didn't even send Kamala Harris to meet him. Rufus Gifford is Biden's protocol officer. Like, something's changing, guys. Like, we're now sending Biden's protocol officer to pick the guy up at the airport. That's like sending the butler.
What's a protocol officer? I want one.
I want one. That sounds fun. I want one of those.
Yeah.
A protocol. I need a protocol officer. If there's one person that needs a protocol officer, it's me.
Yes.
I need a protocol officer.
Will they teach my kids to do their chores on free school days?
I thought maybe it was just because like Clayton's maybe like socially awkward at gatherings and he doesn't just know the proper protocol for doing things. And so maybe that honestly might be what a protocol officer does, is make sure that they understand like international customs and things like that, so that you don't.
Oh, I thought it was just
meetings.
more.
I don't know.
No, send him the protocol officer so that on the drive to the White House, you can tell him, hey, make sure you don't wear that ugly green sweater at the White House. It's the White House. You're meeting with the President of the United States, for crying out loud. Don't wear an ugly green sweater. It's not a Christmas party where you wear the ugly Christmas sweater.
When I was a teenager, if I was
Thank you.
If I was mouthing off as a teenager, my dad would go, Natalie, do you have no protocol? No sense of protocol? This was like the word.
You need a protocol droid.
I needed one.
So Mark McKinnon points this out. He says, looks like Zelensky flying to Washington on a U.S. Air Force plane. Yeah, dramatically reduces the possibility of anything happening to the president on his first trip abroad since the Russian invasion began. So I don't know if you noticed that plane in the background a second ago.
I noticed it.
That's a U.S. We sent a plane to pick him up and rolled out the red carpet for the guy.
That's a nice
and
Uber.
There wasn't just like, there wasn't like 5 people in there. Like, how many people you think were in that plane? How many services? How much did they pay the pilots? Like, how much did that trip cost us? I want to know.
Oh, yeah. We'll lump it in with the $45 billion that he just picked up this afternoon. Yeah. So here's how CNN, CNN's ever effusive about this. They love this. Oh my God, our guy is showing up. Our guy, Zelensky, is coming. Because CNN, of course, a mouthpiece of the intelligence community. This is how they welcomed Zelensky today. Like, fair and honest journalism here at CNN. Watch.
Joining us now for perspective on all of this and how significant it is, CNN's chief international anchor, Christian Amanpour, who interviewed Ukrainian President Zelensky and the First Lady of Ukraine actually last month. Christian, this is just incredibly significant. I mean, it's been 300 days. He has not left Ukraine. And now his first trip outside during this war is to the United States.
Absolutely, Caitlin. And of course, the United States is his biggest backer, and he has thanked them over and again, including in my interview, and thanked the American people, knowing that it is taxpayers' money that is helping Ukraine with the weapons that it needs. This is an incredibly important punctuation point because of where we are in the war and because of the change in seasons. Many have likened and have pointed to Winston Churchill, the famous British World War II leader, as the epitome and the example of a leader during wartime. And many over
Here's the Churchill comparison.
Of the war in Ukraine,
he's just like Winston Churchill.
Compared Zelensky and his wartime leadership to that of Winston Churchill. And most.
Oh my God, give me a fucking break. I'm sorry, give me a break.
Isn't that annoying?
Oh, so Zelensky is demanding that citizens stay in their homes without a stable supply of food and water and heat. But Zelensky using this as a propaganda tool to raise money for back home.
Well, this comes after FIFA over the weekend refused to play a clip that I did not bring to, where he wanted to issue a statement about Ukraine right before the World Cup final.
Right.
And FIFA said, no, we're not getting involved in this and we're not playing this. And the Ukrainian government gave them on Twitter, they said, you still have a few more hours to decide. You still can do the right thing. Show Zelensky's message. I did watch it, and he's saying, every father wants to take his son to a football game. We should have a world where that's okay. I propose this peace organization, but that's not peace talk, so he's not actually moving towards peace. But I do think it's telling because the Oscars and the Grammys can have him or his, representatives on, and FIFA is saying, no, we're not choosing sides in a war, in a football game.
So,
too much politics.
Well, and I have a question really quick about going back to the plane really quick. Is that considered a military jet? Like, did that military plane land in Ukraine, or did they pick him up elsewhere? Like, because isn't that kind of like
in Poland?
In Poland. Okay, I was going to say, because if that landing in Ukraine, that's like the United States actually moving in a military vehicle. Am I not?
Yeah. But no, they picked him up in Poland. So he took a train from Poland, from Kiev into Poland, and then from there we put him on a plane, and then gave him a limousine escort to the White House. Byron York pointing this out. According to the Associated Press a few minutes ago, Zelensky is going to tell Congress that the $48 billion that we're giving them right now in this new bill is not enough, according to Byron York. He says the AP reporting this, Zelensky is apparently prepared to tell Congress that whatever the U.S. has given Ukraine, $45 billion in new aid under new consideration, is not enough. And a reminder, Olena Zelensky, of course, when she went to Paris just recently, this was confirmed. She went and she was there asking money from Macron. Turns out she went on a shopping spree in Paris and spent $40,000 in a shopping spree while in Paris, while demanding that we give her more money. So she's in Paris.
Well, you can't go out asking for more money looking broke, man. Come on.
No,
that's like
true.
That's just like you request 101.
No, that's like requesting money, like failure 101. Like how do you like, if I'm going to ask somebody for money, I don't wear a tux and pull up in my Bentley and be like, hey, can I have some money?
Like you need to have you need to have like a little tin cup. Yeah, like a little tin cup, and you put on glasses to make you look like you're blind.
But glamour is an important part of her look. She has to look Jackie O. Mm-hmm. And they realize that she's an asset. Even 60 Minutes said that they weaponize her.
Yeah.
Because she's beautiful, and I understand it from a propaganda standpoint, absolutely.
So Glenn Greenwald this morning tweeted this, said, the U.S. Congress is about to send another $44 billion to Boeing, Raytheon, and the CIA for the war in Ukraine. That's a total of $100 billion sent by the United States in 10 months. The entire Russian military budget for the year is $65 billion. So Zelensky's schedule, visiting the White House for a meeting, sitting down with the president. He did that. He showed up. Before that he got there, though, I don't know who did it, but all over D.C. this afternoon, there was like an army of people going around flagpoles and light posts, putting up the Ukrainian flag all over Washington, D.C. Get those flags up, and also make sure that they are higher up than the American flag. Like, they're higher on the stand than the American flags. All these Ukrainian flags, we just have them everywhere. We're going to go stick them all. Look, let's stick it higher than the American flag. All over D.C. today. So,
well, and I wanted to ask really quick, when Zelensky is doing these tours and he's asking for this money, does he ever break down what it's for, or does he just say, I just need money? Like, it doesn't matter what it's for, like weapons or whatever, but is he ever specific as like where that money is going?
He has before given us a laundry list of, these guns, these bullets, these tanks.
Like these things we want. We want HIMARS. We want these things. We want this type of weapon. And then they get all destroyed, or they're, again, the Patriot missile system. We had Scott Ritter on the other night saying that they don't work. They've never worked. It's been it's ridiculous. And you need actual number of human beings to run the things. It's going to be a total disaster, but that's what he wants. So here he is showing up at the White House. Here he is officially meeting with President Biden and Jill Biden. He wore his best Christmas sweater. So he couldn't, even for the president of the United States, all of the billions that we've sent the guy, he still has to wear this ugly green Christmas sweater.
We know his wife went shopping. Why can't he dress nice too? And
yeah, exactly.
She bought him new green sweaters.
Oh, okay.
So here is Biden and Zelensky sitting by the fire. He's got his Ukrainian garb on. And here's President Biden basically telling him that, Russia continues to attack civilians, and that's their mission, and we stand behind you. Listen.
The attack on innocent Ukrainian people for no reason other than intimidate. And he's escalated his assault on civilians after hitting schools, orphanages, hospitals, landmarks.
All debunked.
He's trying to use winter as a weapon. But the Ukrainian people continue to inspire the world. I mean that sincerely. Not just inspire us, but inspire the world with their courage and how they have chosen.
Yeah. So he says that Putin is attacking schools, churches, theaters, civilian targets. Okay.
Orphanages, anything that grabs your heartstrings.
Yeah.
And anything that grabs your heartstrings, they're attacking.
Orphanages. Yeah, like Tiny Tim is, like he literally is going after like blind orphanages.
Like he's in there in the war room. Is that an orphanage? Take it out.
Take it out.
So, good question is, why weren't those evacuated if you had all this time, prepping for war and all of that? Clayton and I were discussing this tactic of a leader wearing military garb and which leaders in history have done this to great effect. And what is it showing us? Because he's now thousands of miles from the battlefield. I thought originally it sort of meant I'm here too. I'm capable of taking up arms too. But in the White House, it's just sort of a Franco type move. Like
I just
leader
feel it makes him more relatable. He's like relatable
Fidel Castro.
He's not in a suit.
Like Fidel Castro, like he just wears fatigues every day and a hat. Like I said, it makes it very easy. It makes it very easy to like go to your closet in the morning. Like, what am I wearing today here in Ukraine? It's cold.
Maybe those of you in the chat can think of other leaders who dressed out like a baseball coach.
Well, and think of people are going to be like, oh, but he's so modest. He doesn't wear suits. He doesn't have these high, really expensive clothing. He's doing his job. Like there are people that will mean something to.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah. He's there. He's constantly working. He's deep in the trenches. But what I wanted to bring this home on this point, which is what we heard from a couple of White House officials over the past 24 hours. And it's very, very subtle. I want to play this video and see if you can pick up on where this new tone of this war and what this means, because they know what's about to happen. They know that Ukraine is about to totally be wiped off the map, and they know that Putin is about to unleash a massive winter offensive to finally put an end to the genocide in the Donbass and secure that section of the country. So we know what's coming. Here's where the way the Biden administration is now sort of playing this thing. Listen.
We are in a new phase, if you will. This winter's coming. Mr. Putin has stepped up his attacks on civilian infrastructure, civilian targets. Air defense capabilities are now the most important capability that Ukraine needs and must have to help defend itself. So the president really believed that as we approach winter, as we enter clearly and have been in a sort of a new phase in this war, Mr. Putin's aggression, that this was a good time for the two leaders to sit down face to face and talk about not only what the United States is doing now and will continue to do going forward, but how we eventually try to work towards what President Zelensky has called a just peace.
So you do think that the two leaders today will...
So did you catch it there? The new phase, multiple times saying the new phase. So now you're going to hear this from the White House. You're going to hear it from, mark my words, tomorrow you'll hear it from Jean-Pierre at the White House press podium. The new phase. You'll hear it from President Biden. That talking point is now going to be out. So what's this new phase? What is the new phase? Well, it'll be interesting to hear what this new phase is. We're going to give you billions more. They just secured $45 billion. We're sending more weapons. We're doing additional training now of Ukrainian soldiers. What is the new phase? You're going to be stepping down as the president of the country, and we're going to install our new puppet? I mean, I don't know. Thank you so much for watching this segment here at Redacted. We are live every day at 4 p.m. Eastern time, trying to share the stories that the mainstream media will not cover. You should also come over and join our community of Redacted Rebels over at Redacted.inc. That's our private locals community where we can share exclusive content that we simply cannot share here on YouTube. Come over and join the rebellion together right now by going to Redacted.inc. We'll see you next time.